Alrighty. Okay. Hey, everybody. Okay, we're live on everywhere else. Now I got to go over to here and hit go live over here.
Multi-step
It is.
process.
It
Yeah,
is.
here.
And you can only do it for like an hour, is that what you said? So you had to like start a
That's
new
what it
feed,
says.
basically.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
I think we're live on Instagram. Can you go check?
I'll get an alert. Yeah, I just got the alert.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, there we are.
And
Yeah,
Twitch.
there's
Did you do
a
Twitch this
preview.
time too?
Yep, I'm on Twitch. We're on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook.
Look at us.
All right. I'm going to create a new social media platform called Scotty G. And then
There you go. I think that's good.
And ESPN. We've taken over ESPN.
Yeah.
Well, I heard it's trying to be sold.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's true.
I heard Disney might want to unload some of
We're going
that.
to pull our money and buy ESPN and turn it
All
into-
right, that sounds like a plan. I'm
Or
here
maybe
for it.
even just one of the ESPNs. I mean, there's
Yeah, we
like
don't-
35, so we
I
can
think we
buy a
can
lesser
afford the
one.
Ocho. I think we
Yeah.
can afford the Ocho.
We can't afford the Ocho. We can afford the Nueve.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yes. Maybe if we pool our money,
Maybe we can get the Nueve. We'll see.
we'll make them a good offer.
We
be like,
will.
we have like $150 here and some knowledge on how we could improve this, perhaps.
That's true.
I might have
I
one
mean-
Disney gift card left over too. Oh, we'll
We'll
see.
have
There
a
you go.
between the four of us, we'll have a good business model for sure.
I think so. Yeah.
I'm sure.
For sure.
I'm sure it would be
Entertaining,
great.
if nothing else.
Yeah,
This
I'm
is
sure
true.
that would sustain a business. All right, let's do this. Oh man, I'm telling you, between Scott and I, the Disney gunk is strong. So this will be a good show. Here we go, man. Here we go.
Disney gunk.
24. That's what I call it when I get home, man. It's the post race weekend stuff that catches up to you. 24-22. Here we go for Friday. Oh, what that? 44-1. Welcome to episode 2422 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Friday to you. And man, it's kind of a normal Friday here for considering the last couple of Fridays have been a lot more exciting in my world and a lot of our worlds. We've been at either Walt Disney World getting ready to jump out there on a race course, but today back here in the studios and having a good time recapping the Disneyland half marathon weekend that just took place just a few days ago. And we're going to have a good time talking about the return to Run Disney out to Anaheim. And today we're excited because we have the entire crew together, all four of us. And this makes me so happy. I'm just glad to have everybody here. So joining me today, we have Rikki from the mouseforless.com. Rikki, how have things been going as we've been out of town? What's up?
Well, things have been going good. I made a surprise visit down to Walt Disney World for Marathon Weekend. So that was super fun.
Nice.
And got to stay with my lovely friend Florence at the Polynesian, which was fantastic. But yeah, it was great to be able to come down there and, cheer for the runners. Which is one of my favorite things to do is, cheer on those runners who are running both the half and the full, because usually I can never get there for the 5K and the 10K because those are, Thursday, Friday. So I got to work those days. But it's so much fun and incredible to cheer on those runners who are taking on the massive feat of, 13.1 and 26.2. So it's one of my favorite things to do. I haven't done it in a few years. So it was great to be back and being able to do that. And it was a blast. So, being with our cheer lizards was just so much fun. So.
And I got to say, I was definitely surprised to see you because I know it was a last minute move. You told us at the last minute you were coming down and it was a sacrifice. I mean, you got a long drive from Atlanta. You have a new daughter and
Yes.
it meant a lot to see you out there. I know we didn't even hardly get to connect.
No, we were both so busy with stuff. Yeah.
I wanted to talk to you at the meetup over at the Contemporary at Outer Rim, but everybody was talking to everybody and all of a sudden everybody was gone and we didn't even get to hardly talk. So I felt bad, but I mean, it was a huge sacrifice because, your new mom and everything, and it meant a lot to have you there. So thanks for being there.
Yeah. I mean, thanks to Brian who, volunteered to, be alone with the baby that weekend. Although granted, I paid for it this weekend because I was on definitely just mommy duty this past weekend while he went to San Antonio to see his Spurs play. Although unfortunately he did not get to go see the one thing that he wanted to see, which was Momayana play, he was sat on the bench. So he was like, I drove all this way to see the Spurs, and I didn't even get to see Wemby play. So
Load management in the NBA. It's
yeah. He was a little disappointed in that fact. I mean, literally drove across the country to see this new guy who's like the newest thing since sliced bread play the game, and he didn't even get to see him. So,
of course, man.
So thank you to Brian for being an awesome dad. I appreciate it so much.
Thank you, Brian. All right, also joining us, we have my good buddy up in Michigan who's going to be sharing his tales with me here in just a second from Disneyland. Scotty G, what's up, Scott?
Hey, Mike, happy to be here. Sort of happy to be here. So let's just say this: like, at the time of recording, I have worked 2 days out of the last 17 days. So like today was just like the struggle bus, right? I mean, reality checks for sure. I landed in Detroit. There's ice all over the vehicle. Yeah. It's like negative 10 degrees. You know, didn't have an ice scraper, so that was a fun little story. And then you get home, there's snow all over your driveway. So I have to I have 4-wheel drive. It could have gone up, but I didn't want to get all those tire tracks. So quick try to do a shovel job. And then I had 16 meetings today, constantly talking. And then but I'm happy to be here. But you want to talk about a reality check, man. When you come home from California, Southern California, and you're at negative 10 degrees, oh boy, that is a bummer.
Yeah, it is. You.
We were whining about it being 45 in the corrals. And then Mother Nature laughed at us.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Elizabeth said, I take back forever complaining that I was cold.
Yeah, remember when we were cold at Disneyland at night when it was 52? We're it's freezing. No.
Well, you remember how upset she got when she got a slight little wetness from the Pirates because it was cold. And then she was just this is the worst. And then no, it was the worst when we got home and it was negative 10 degrees.
Watch what you say. Mother Nature will get you. Oh, all right. Also joining us, we have Pam Forrester, Coner the Magic for Less Travel. Pam, Disneyland is amazing. You told me that for 10 years. It's been proven time and time again now. I love Disneyland.
I know. It's it's where it's where it all started, and I think you feel that when you're there. I think that's the thing that's really different. And I was thinking about this because sometimes people like to compare the two and say one is better or worse than the other. And I will say I love them both. I don't think I have to really compare them to do that. I think that World is a much more broad experience and can be a more inclusive experience because there's just so many more things that are offered out there, right? In terms of resorts and dining and, whatnot. And I think Disneyland has a kind of nostalgia that can't ever be at World just because of, circumstances and the way that it is. But I enjoy both so much that I don't, I can't pick a favorite. I will not pick a favorite. I don't think that one is better than the other. I think that they're just different, and that's a cool thing. So I'm glad that we have both. And the other experiences, it's like saying, Disney Cruise Line versus Disney World. It's like, I'm not choosing. I want them both all the time. So I want all the destinations. But yeah, there's something so unique about Disneyland. And I think there's something that's really charming about the intimacy of it all, right? That the fact that you can walk back and forth between the parks, usually from between the resorts and the parks to downtown Disney, who now I want to say Disney Springs.
Right.
After I finally made the transition to Disney Springs at World. Of course, we still have downtown Disney at Land. So I like that. I think that it's just a very charming experience. And when you get to experience some of those attractions in Fantasyland that Disney World has never had, or in some cases there's a couple that they did have and they don't have any longer. That's really a cool thing. I mean, there's something really cool about Mr. Toad's Wild Ride and about the adventures with Snow White. You get to see the Evil Queen there. There's just some really cute things that they do there. So
and Alice.
Alice. Yeah.
Alice, who
That's Scott's favorite. Yeah.
I will tell you, that one is frightening to me.
Really? All right.
When you go outside, I think I've had this conversation. When you go outside, one of the first times I rode it, when you go outside from up top,
Yep.
it was literally like 1955 plywood holding that up at one
Yeah. Okay.
Then it went through a refurbishment and it feels a little more stable, but it has almost a wild mouse quality to it, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Which you can careen right off of, one of those bends. It's not as bad as it used to be, but yes, Alan, I do still ride it all the time.
Okay, so on that topic, I promise we're gonna get into the race weekend recap, but I just want to spend 3 minutes here. We had this discussion with the gardeners as we were in line because they did with me, and I did this back in March at the media thing I went to when they opened Mickey and Minnie's, the Davy Crockett canoes or whatever.
Yes.
Okay, those are those jams. So we did those we all did those. I talked them into it. We all did them. Those, and what was the other thing that I said? Oh, it's the storybook canal boats.
Yes.
Like I can't believe those things still exist in 2024 in a theme park, and especially a Disney theme park. There are so many ways you could fall right into the river. Like, especially people that have been running 70 miles in the past 10 days that probably are not like even runners like me that are like old dudes that, I'm tripping over stuff all the time. It was 50-50 that I was going to fall in when I rode the storybook canal boats. Like, because everybody's got, like, they're telling you, everybody stand up at the exact same time.
Otherwise, you're going in.
When they have to tell you that something's like not safe, you know what I'm saying? Like,
and then my dad fell down when we did it. Remember?
Oh my god!
And the other thing is too, cast member training for that. There is a weight distribution going on in the boat, right? And at different times they will say, "Sir, can you move over here? Ma'am, could you move over there?" I'm like, okay, like, how are you judging? Like, the whole thing is beyond, like, if someone had a big breakfast, man, that side of the boat could be going under. No, it's just, I am shocked in this age of social media that I can't ever recall seeing storybook canal boats tipped.
Agreed. Or just somebody.
That's a good point.
Somebody losing their balance. You know what I'm saying? Because if you lose your balance, you're going in. Because there's no rail.
If I'm going in, I'm going in by one of the little villages and I'm grabbing a little piece to take home with me so I can always have a piece of one forever.
Oh my God. But that's the charm of Disneyland, right? You're talking like Elizabeth's like, those canoes have to have some kind of motor in them, right? I'm like, no, they don't.
No,
like, it's for real. Like, you stroke, like everybody. That's
if you're in a canoe that has a lot of kids who aren't paddling,
pulling their weight.
You're really working at it. I'm like, kid, I've noticed.
Wow, man.
You got to really do it.
Trying to get to Cafe Orleans. They
put me and Mike in the back probably for that reason, because I felt like we were just like all in that thing. Man.
We were sweating and it was cold.
Single-handedly getting people around the rivers of America.
So we're really selling Disneyland for people right now. But I'm telling you, that's the charm of the place, man. You cannot do that.
That's why you get to eat the corn dog.
Exactly. That's why you can eat. Then you don't get the 3-pack, get the 6-pack. You deserve it after doing the boats, the canoes. Okay, so. So we went out there and ran the races. First time they've had the races out of Disneyland, I think they said in 7 years. Scott, you're a veteran of Disneyland races on the West Coast. My first time getting out to the West Coast. So what did you think, especially having experience with these race weekends on the West Coast, as this is how they took place this past weekend? Because I have no prior experience.
Well, it was great to be back. Yeah, it was 2017. I actually did the last race they had out there. It was the Avengers in November of 2017. And I will say there's some rust, which is fine. Like there was, I'll just go into one of the worst parts of the weekend was during the half marathon. There were so many bottlenecks at the water stops. The first water stop, me and Emily we're hustling, we're getting up there. We're going faster than we normally are because we're excited. We're running through the parks. And then there's just a wall of people just stopped. We were like bumping into people. We had to put on the brakes. And like, I'm imagining like a cartoon, right? Where like someone just jumps up and you hear like the sound of the screeching brakes. Like that was us because there wasn't enough space for that many people to go through the course with those water stops. So that was a really bad thing. You're just stuck there. You can't move. You're in the middle of a race. People can get hurt, so there was just so many bottlenecks. That happened twice on the race of the half marathon. Once you got out of the parks and then it opened up on the streets of Anaheim, because you're on like main roads, right? Then it got a little bit better, but it was just too congested for those parks where they were. And that had never happened to me, at least in a previous Disneyland race. So I don't know what happened there. Maybe they need to come up with a better strategy of where they put those water stops, because it could not manage those people. I know it's totally different for you, Mike, because you're up at the front, but that was not good for people that were in the back of the pack.
Yeah, and I heard that from other people too, that said that there were bottlenecks on the course early. And that is just, again, maybe the person who laid out the course previously. I mean, 7 years is a long time. You lose brain power, like you lose people that have experience in course layouts, race directors, stuff like that. So, I mean, I'm sure they're getting this feedback. They're hearing, they're not probably listening to our podcast, but they're hearing it from all the runners. That I thought that it was kind of weird how they had the water stops anyway. Sometimes they were like right one after the next. I mean, they were like extremely close, and then you go a little bit and not have one. So yeah, there was rust. I think that was a good thing. They were probably having a hard time. It wasn't,
and they learned throughout the weekend too. So another thing was the security check. So we all know that those that do the races at Walt Disney World, they all start at Epcot, right? So they have all of those security stations open. It's really easy to go through. Here, I noticed it for the half marathon, there are at least two. I can't speak to the 10K, and we didn't do the 5K. The 5K actually started at Disneyland Park, so security was at a different checkpoint there. But it was really bad. Like they would inspect all the bags like they would, but you all know how Disneyland is. It's not the same system at Walt Disney World. You have to take everything out of your pockets, right? Like at Walt Disney World, you can just kind of walk through the detector, and you're fine. It moves along pretty quickly. But Disneyland, you got to remove all your stuff from your pockets. And then, you got a little thing that goes off, then they're going to check you with their little wand and all that. And I mean, I waited like 40 minutes in the security line. I felt like I was going to miss the 10K start.
Wow.
And there was thousands of people behind me still. Like,
holy cow.
So, but for the half marathon, they had more people out there. They weren't even telling you to move stuff out of your pockets. Like, I mean, they were just like, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. So I felt like they learned a little bit from that, but then I was wondering, well, is this as security? So I had a lot of thoughts running through my head. So I think they got to work out some things. And I think Disneyland altogether needs to work out that security system, because you all know, like, some mornings, man, you do wait like 30 minutes just to go through security there. And I think they could take a page out of Walt Disney World's book on how they do the security setup.
Yeah, I agree. So let's take a step back there, because with the security and just visiting the theme park. So this was my first time. I've been out there 2 previous times in the last, year or so. I'd stayed at the Disneyland Hotel both times. Love the Disneyland Hotel. I had it booked this time, but then I started thinking about it, and I wasn't taking my girls. And if I started tweeting pictures of how beautiful they love the Disneyland Hotel, and I was going solo, and like I'd been to Walt Disney World for 6 days, and like I was out at Disneyland, and they were back at work, and it's freezing in January in Missouri. I was trying not to get murdered by my family when I got home, so I decided I probably should cancel that villa at the Disneyland Hotel that I had booked and just get a good neighbor and just be smart about things, since I'm just going solo, and I'm going to be in the parks the entire time anyway, right? Because that's when I'm out there, man. I am a kid. I never took a midday break the whole time I was there. I literally, the day of the half marathon, Scott, you know this, I went to DCA at park opening, and I never went back to the room, and we saw fireworks on Main Street that night. Like nonstop. Like, and that was with a half marathon thrown in there. And because it's so fun, you can just we talked about this. We'll probably talk about it. You just keep going and going and going. When you have Genie Plus on your tickets out there, you don't ever have a reason to stop. There's so many things to do. And I was just like nonstop going, but we stayed off site. You stayed at the Fairfield. That's like your go-to out there. You've always told me that. I stayed at a place called the Grand Legacy, which was right on the corner of where the start line, finish line was, at the corner of Harbor and Disney Way.
Disney Way, I think. Yep.
Yeah. And I mean, my hotel, it was fine. Like, it was especially fine for a race weekend. I was never in the room, but I mean, it was a motel room. It wasn't anything, no Disney theming, nothing special. I mean, it was like a Motel 6 or something, it was just there. You're paying for the location, but I could walk from my room to the Esplanade in 4.5 minutes to the security checkpoint. But I did notice, getting back to security, that the lines for security from those Good Neighbor hotels was a lot more intense than walking from, say, the Disneyland Hotel through downtown Disney.
Yeah.
So I
And you
wish
gotta remember too,
it was that same system from Disney World.
It was a Run Disney weekend. I think there was like 10 to 11,000 like half marathoners, and it was also Martin Luther King holiday weekend. So I mean, there were a lot of people there. So a lot of people to go through security, but because earlier in the week it wasn't that bad. But I just always think like, man, like they have this technology at Walt Disney World where you can just kind of like walk through the detector. You know, you got to take your umbrellas out or eyeglass cases sometimes, but you don't have to take everything out of your pockets. I wish they had some way to do that at Disneyland.
Yeah, that would
really
be nice.
speed that process up.
I had to walk through the metal detectors there with a suitcase full of luggage. So that was super fun. So, you know, because I had dropped off friends at one of the outside properties resorts, and then I was staying at the Disneyland resort. So like, yeah, I had to wheel my luggage through the Esplanade and everything. Yep. So yeah, it would be nice if there was a little bit of an easier way to do that at Disneyland for sure, because they like went through everything in my luggage. So that was great.
I just wonder if it's like a state thing, why they can't bring those like scanners to California or something, because they work. I mean, I think we got spoiled like in the last year with how simple it is at Walt Disney World. Like you just truck right on through. I mean, even with a backpack, you know what I'm saying? Like that's, I mean, the first time I did that, I was like, this can't work, you know, but I guess it, I mean, I guess it does, you know, I mean, we all make the assumption that it does. And now that we've used it and got comfortable with it, like I wanted to come, and it probably will eventually to Disneyland. I mean, you know, technology takes time to kind of evolve and kind of become mainstream. So we'll see, but that's kind of a thing. But let's talk about, we both agreed, Scott, the 10K course, man, rocks. I mean, cause you spend a majority of your time in the theme parks. It was great. The 10K race is really kind of, I mean, that's where we both agree. That was where it was at this weekend.
It's my favorite Run Disney course. And that's why I was really excited to get you registered for it, because originally you were just registered for the half. But yeah, so you go through the Esplanade, you know, and then so you hit both parks. Like I think like miles like right after 1 through like 5 are all in the theme parks. And I mean, and it's not like, hey, I'm going to go down Hollywood Boulevard and like move on. No, you like run through like all those parks, like a ton. So it's a lot of fun. It was interesting about the 10K though. Previously, you actually did run through the castle on the 10K, at least on the ones I did. You did not for the 10K this weekend, but we got through the half. I was worried for you, Mike. I was like, man, I got to get my boy to run through Sleeping Beauty's castle.
Well, we did run through the castle on the 10K. We just didn't get a picture.
No, you did not run through the castle on the 10K. I didn't, at least.
Did we not? I thought
no.
We did.
Unless you ran a different course.
Yeah, that would be different.
Sure, I did run through the castle because I said we didn't get a castle picture.
For the half you do, but you don't. We did not for the 10K. You ran by it, but you did not run through it.
I can't remember, dude.
Because I remember I did a selfie of it as I was running by. But
okay,
yeah,
you're probably right.
Yeah, but that course is so much fun. And you know, it's just fun because like I like the parks at night too. I mean, I know it's early morning, but it's still dark, so it's just kind of cool to see like Cars Land, you know, Radiator Springs all lit up. You know, you go through. It's called I want to call it Paradise Pier, but Pixar Pier is all lit up. Like it's so the parks are so beautiful at night. So like you still have like that dark vibe going on to it. So I just love that. It's just the atmosphere. It's just. You know, they say Disneyland is the happiest place on earth. That is the happiest race on earth, is that 10K at Disneyland for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So let's briefly hit the expo, because again, they were trying to figure it out. The expo took place at the Disneyland Hotel in the convention center, convention rooms.
Yep.
You had to get just like World. You had to get the virtual queue, really kind of a struggle, because you had to hit the virtual queue at 7 a.m. I was in the air over Kansas City, so I wasn't even close. You had to be within 45 miles. Scott got me a time. He got in and got my jacket for me because there was no way I was going to make it. Just long waits. I mean, I wasn't going to get in until 7 o'clock that evening. My virtual queue number was 258. That was my boarding group number, or whatever they called it. So, you know, it is what it is. They're just trying to get everybody through that wants to get in. But I just wish there was a better way. I mean, it was exactly the same struggles, and we don't have to beat a dead horse here. Yeah. Same as World.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I don't have much more to say about that. I mean, the same virtual queue system. And then what happens though is that you get a lot of people hanging around waiting for their virtual queue, because you can show up and get your bibs and your race shirts at any time, right? You don't have to wait for a virtual queue for that. So a lot of people get there early, right? Like, hey, I want to get there early, get my bibs and all that. Same thing happens at World, at Wide World of Sports. The difference here though, at Wide World of Sports, it's a bigger footprint, right? So there's lots of areas you can go. There's like vendor carts all over, so you can go get a beverage, get a beer or whatever. Some small place that got some food trucks out there. The problem here though is like you're at the Disneyland Hotel, so I'm at Terragoa with the Terrace. I always pronounce that wrong, but the counter service over there.
Tangaroa Terrace.
Thank you, Rikki.
You're welcome.
And I'm like, I'm gonna go here, but I'll wait for my virtual queue. Well, guess what? So 8,000 other people want to do the same thing, So like, you cannot get any food, you couldn't get any drink unless if you were just lucky, and that was kind of the unfortunate thing. Like, I love the Disneyland Hotel, I love that property, I love that space, but you had so many people that weren't. Imagine if you were staying there too. I was just thinking about that. Like, if you were a guest paying at the Disneyland Hotel and you were just going to do like a resort day and you got like 10,000 people rolling through your hotel at the expo, like that's kind of frustrating. The convenience is great that it's at the Disneyland Hotel. Like, I love that it's there, but sometimes I wonder if the Anaheim Convention Center could be better for something like that, so that it's not disrupting guests that are paying to stay at the hotel.
And then you might not even need the virtual queue. I mean, you could just go line up, and if you want to line up early, you spend your 3 hours, but you're going to be guaranteed to get in. Like, if you want to wait in line, that's your deal. Like,
and that's not a new thing. I mean, in the past, the expo has always been at the Disneyland Hotel. The only new thing really here is this that virtual queue, which we've been. If you're familiar with the Walt Disney World races, that's been a thing for the last couple of years.
So let's real quick. I love the medals and the shirts, man. Great. Like, they nailed it. I mean, the Disneyland D for the half marathon, the other medals for the 5 and the 10, the coast to coast, I liked. I thought they beautiful.
The medals are gorgeous. I mean, that's kind of, when you do run Disney, that's not to be like, we're spoiled, but like we're something you kind of get used to, right? Because like they knock the medals out of the park, and similar to what they've been doing at World, when you get the medals, they don't hand them to you like anymore, put them on your neck. They're in plastic now. I understand why though. Because because sometimes they get damaged or whatnot. Like, if they're just hanging like from a rack or whatever, they're banging into each other. But then what I always do, Mike, you probably do the same thing. I just rip the plastic right off and I just put it on there.
I use my teeth and rip it open as soon as I get it, put it around my neck. Yeah, I'm terrible.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah. And I'm not trying to sound negative. I'm just trying to compare to like how the previous ones were. Like, I started my statement by saying like they have some rust, and they do. It's been a while. Like, I think Run Disney in Anaheim is ran completely different. I don't think it's like the same group that does it in Florida. So they're not 100% always going to sync, and they don't have the big footprint like they do at World. Like, after the race is done, like, you're in a parking lot. And the reunion area, you're not going to have photo pass people all around or like food booths set up like they do at Epcot, because like it's easier for them to do at Epcot. They got a lot of space there in the Epcot parking lot, and I think some people were disappointed that hadn't done Run Disney in Anaheim before. I think they were expecting like all the photo passes, like a place to get a beer or hang out with their friends. There's not a big area to hang out, and that's fine. Just knock at it. I think. Overall, we're still ran pretty well. I just think they have some rust on those water stops and things like that. I thought the course was fine though.
Yeah, it is one of those things you just got to put in perspective that you are not running on Disney property the entire time like Walt Disney World. Like, that was the part, that was the difference with the half marathon course. Once you got outside the property, you ran through Anaheim. I mean, it was similar to running a Go St. Louis half marathon or the Chicago Marathon, just, minus the people cheering on the crowd on the course. There weren't a lot of people out there cheering. Challenging course, but great weekend. I mean, it was awesome because you were at Disneyland. So let's talk about, we've talked running. Now let's talk about the Disneyland trip. So we enjoyed staying, at our Good Neighbor hotels for the access to the theme parks. Looking back, we're back here about, 24 hours at this point of recording. What was the best snack you had, Scott, over the weekend? Or best meal, something like that.
Best meal. Well, I won't say this was the best meal, but I kind of want to talk about it because it's new. So I went to the Great Maple restaurant that's new at the. Is it Pixar Pier Hotel? I think it's still Paradise. I'm so confused.
Paradise, I think.
They still have, they haven't renamed it, although I don't know why, because
right.
I'm confused.
Have you seen the new lobby? I think the lobby is gorgeous.
I was in there last time we were out, and the pool area is beautiful too. Mm-hmm. They did a great job with that. That was open this summer. So
I'm very happy with because like I'll be honest, of the 3 resorts, and this isn't a knock, like that was my least favorite. I actually haven't even stayed there because I love Grand Californian so much in the Disneyland hotel. But I'll tell you, like my impressions walking through the lobby, because I've walked through it before previously, and like I just love the Pixar theming. There's great like Pixar art, like hanging from the atrium. It's not like really in your face. You got to kind of look at it and be like, oh yeah, that's Wally up there, or that's whatever, Coco or whatever. It was really well done.
Mm-hmm.
But I was excited to try the new restaurant, the Great Maple, and it's interesting. So it's an all-day menu. So whether you go at 7 a.m. or 10 p.m., it's going to be the same menu all day. So kind of like your diner theory a little bit there, Rikki, but not 24 hours. So I tried what they consider a signature dish, which was a fried chicken and donuts. We've all kind of had that at Homecoming and other places. And I'll tell you, it was really good. I thought it was really well done. My problem was it was huge. I couldn't eat the whole thing. It was 2 huge donuts and 2 huge pieces of fried chicken. So if you go there, my tip is share that with someone and maybe get like another dish to share for the table, of course, because we had mac and cheese for the table. But a great cocktail menu too. I had a great like bacon maple old fashioned, had a little piece of bacon on it, and I just love the atmosphere in there. It was very chill. It had outdoor seating too. They had the fires going because it was kind of chilly while we were there. But that was like a highlight / surprise for me because it was a new restaurant. Didn't know what to expect, but I thought they did it really well.
Yeah, you were killing me because that's the night I did not eat with you guys, and that was my jam, man. I'd love
because that was our first night, so you were traveling the next day, so you missed out on that one.
Yeah, because you took a day off your world. You flew home after the marathon, so you could add that day to Disneyland. Which, if I'd have known it was going to involve chicken and waffles, I might have sacrificed flying home the day of the marathon. That's a tough gift, but I might have made it. I don't know. That would have been a good selling point because that stuff looked excellent. So I'm glad you mentioned that so people can check that out when they're at Disneyland because that's one of the new offerings. I will say something that I did that I fell in love with that I was not expecting was Haunted Mansion Holiday.
Yes!
I've not even seen that whole movie. I think that movie, like when I see the artwork and weird. Like
it's a weird movie. It's a weird movie.
Everything's weird about that. It's weird. Like it's not my thing. But I'd always heard, oh, you got the overlay. And I was talking to Scott and Elizabeth and everybody about this, Emily. Like, you always hear it's an overlay of the Haunted Mansion, right? Yes. And that's kind of like in the back of my mind thinking, man, you don't mess with like the Haunted Mansion, right? Because it's classic. It's like back in the day when they had a Jack Sparrow to Pirates. I was like, but I mean that turned out okay. But then you go into the Haunted Mansion, it's like, dude, this isn't just adding Jack Sparrow to Pirates, man. This is like a new ride. Like I went in, I was like, holy cow, like the stretching room it's hardly recognizable to what it used to be. It's like so plus, and then you go through the entire attraction. I mean, it's not like a couple things hanging here and there. It is absolutely a new storyline. It's new music. It's new every visual effect you can imagine. And like I said, I don't like the movie. I did that sucker 4 times.
It's great, isn't it?
It is so cool. And I mean, I'm not a fan of the movie, so I can't believe I liked it that much, but I loved it.
I understand. I'm not a fan of the movie either. But there's a few songs I like, but the movie overall, I just don't quite get as well. But seriously, Haunted Mansion Holiday is fantastic. The things that they do for that overlay, I mean, you're right. It's hard to even call it an overlay because it's kind of like experiencing a whole new attraction. If you've never experienced Haunted Mansion Holiday, like it's legit just incredible. I mean, they have so many different audio animatronics that they bring in, and they redo so much of the attraction that it really doesn't feel like the Haunted Mansion. It feels like its own attraction. It's fantastic.
Like it almost makes me want to watch the movie, but I'm not. But
the movie is odd.
The movie's odd.
I just want to ride the ride again.
So this is going to be kind of like an interesting, like not like a hot take, but just like an eye opener for me. So Radiator Spring Racers, hands down, like one of the greatest attractions, right? Like,
correct.
Like you kind of hate Test Track at Epcot.
Yes, you do.
Radiator Springs. So on Sunday, the day after the half, so there's a technology issue. Like Genie Plus was broken out at Disneyland. So like you couldn't book anything. Even like me and Mike prepaid and we couldn't book anything. It was just the system was down. So it was a rough day for some cast members. Eventually, like came up and running, but all the wait times were kind of long that day. I mean, it's a holiday weekend. So I said to the girls, like, we love Radiator Springs. It's like a 70-minute wait. Let's just go in line and do it. Like, we're here, right? What are we going to do? And I never wait. I think we're all to that point right now in our lives where we've been to Disney enough. Like 30 minutes might be stretching it sometimes for like what we want to wait for. But we went for it. And I'll tell you, it was awesome. It was just like back in the day, where you just stand in line and you talk with your family, we're looking at the queue and examining it. Like that 60, 70 minutes like flew by so fast for us. And it just made me think of like, I can do this. Like, I don't know why, like I spoil myself with all these Genie Plus and like, I avoid staying in any line that's more than 30 minutes. Like we had a good time standing there and talking, I made sure I grabbed a drink before we got in or like a little bite to eat and just kind of people watched and talked. Like, I don't know, like I don't know why I'm like telling the story necessarily, but I just feel like that's something that like I don't do anymore. And I think like it's not really a bad thing to wait in line with your family and talk with them, right? You don't have to go be like boom, 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 boom all the time. Like you can spend a little time in line and enjoy a great attraction like Radiator Springs.
I agree. I agree with that. Yeah.
I do too. Yes. Yeah. There are certain attractions in particular I will do that with. I think Radiator Springs is a great one because there's different things to see throughout the queue. They did a great job there. Mm-hmm. And it's an attraction that after you spent the time in line, you're like, okay, that was worth waiting in line for. And there are certain ones at Disney World I will too. But I think that's the thing that, happens so often. I saw one of our agents had posted on one of their socials today that it's like the little things that happen in between that really make the trip so meaningful. Yes. And that's so true. Like that's sort of where the magic happens. And I think I remember that even as a child, like the first time we went to Walt Disney World, I was so young, and Pirates of the Caribbean, like it was, you waited in line for hours to get on these things. And there were no phones, there were no electronic devices. Like we stood there and did stuff as a family. And it's just, that's some good stuff there. I mean, you really do. I'd love to see a family enjoying each other in line, like playing a game or having a conversation or something. It's really kind of a cool thing. So.
And I was lucky, I went solo, but of course I hung with the Gardeners for 90% of the time. But there were times where, we were, doing different things until we kind of met up in the mornings. And so I was, on my own for a few hours or here and there. And, the thing is, Disneyland makes it super simple to just go and explore on your own. If you ever want to go out there and you're thinking about doing it like at a race weekend, and I don't know if I want to go by myself because, like, for example, I was waiting for Scott. We had DCA park reservations on Sunday after the half marathon. And so I went over, but like I immediately hopped because I'm a Disneyland guy. Like I love DCA, don't get me wrong. But I went over there and had my breakfast at Smoke Jumpers. By the way, they have a good I had it twice. An awesome rockin' breakfast burrito.
I thought that's what you were going to say was your favorite thing, Mike. To be honest, I know you love
my favorite
burrito.
thing. That sucker rocked. I mean, and it comes with French fries, which you think is crazy for breakfast, but they were like seasoned and
crinkle fries. They're crinkle cut fries.
They're crinkle fries, dude. They're awesome. They're potatoes. They're whatever. So, but I got that twice. So I went over to Smoke Jumpers, had my breakfast over there, and I think I did Incredicoaster, because the thing about Incredicoaster is you think, oh, it's an e-ticket attraction. You're gonna wait for that thing. Just eats people. You can get on that thing quick, especially Genie Plus. Mm-hmm. So I think I did that, and I did Luigi's. I think because I hadn't gotten that in. I did one other thing. I can't remember. I did something else. I got my picture of my medals, and then I was waiting for 11 o'clock. I met a couple listeners. I met so many listeners on this trip. So thanks to everybody who came up and said hello. I was going to say that for the end, but it was just truly great to meet so many people. But waiting for 11 o'clock so I can make that hop, because you can do it at 11 instead of 1 at Disneyland, and hopped over to Disneyland and just, had at it. But the thing was, when I got over to Disneyland, I was still waiting for, Scott to come over to kind of continue the day. I was looking for stuff to do, like the Columbia sailing ship. I'd never done that. I mean, that's a fun thing to just hop on and just kind of see the park from a different perspective. And that there's more. The thing about Disneyland is with their attractions, there's such depth to them. Like I didn't realize the Columbia sailing ship, you can go down below decks and there's like quarters down there. There's like cannons. There's like cannonballs. And Pam, it cracks me up because you really feel the history of the park when you see like that ship is not just like surface level. It is like, it's got so much going on. Like you wouldn't expect that. You can go down below decks on that thing.
I know. And the other thing I think about every time I'm on that ship or the other boat, I often think about the places that I'm touching and like how many, and not in a gross way, but like how many people have touched it before me, right? Where it came from.
Yeah, you're still not selling it, Pam.
Just the history that is there.
The celebrities that have touched it.
Yeah,
that's right. That's right.
Yes. It's just been, it's a little piece of history. That, and also when you go by Walt's gift, to his wife, that piece of petrified wood.
Yes, the tree.
Yes.
We met listeners there because that's where the Disney nerds meet up, and we met a great couple there that we got to spend we had a long conversation with them. It was great.
Well, and I think too, it was, Lillian was a smart woman, and that was the place.
Hey, you know what? This needs to go inside the theme
That
park.
was like, she was like, good. We've all had gifts like that. Maybe what they are missing is a space where you can put maybe gifts that would be better enjoyed by people in the parks. That could be another thing that happens at Disneyland. So can you imagine how popular that would be?
Well, see, I knew Scott was going to make his way from, I forget where they were, somewhere in the park.
We're coming from the Matterhorn.
You're coming from the Matterhorn. That's right. Over to New Orleans Square because we were going to be eating at Cafe Orleans. And so I knew, like, where's Scott going to have to stop between here and there? And I knew it was the petrified tree. So I just planted myself.
I can't just not walk by it. I always stop.
I know Scott so well. So I planted myself at the petrified tree. Boom, right there. And I met some listeners that were coming by on the way. They just happened to see me. So we were having a conversation. So we all got to get pictures and have a good time. It was awesome. Okay.
Another thing I want to say about Disneyland. I think we all kind of agree with this, but I just want to get it out there. So Mike, you always say like cruising with friends is like the best thing, right? I think any vacation with friends is really good, but there's something about Disneyland because this is a race weekend where, yes, I had my family, but I had a lot of friends that were out there too. And like, it's such a great place to just hang out and chill and talk with friends. There's so many like places where you can sit down, like Disneyland. My goodness. Like, I wish we had the amount of benches that we have at Disneyland and Magic Kingdom. There's so many great places to sit down, have a conversation, and just people watch and just take in that great atmosphere, the weather, whatever it may be. And I feel like that's so great to do with friends out at Disneyland. And, Disneyland is mostly a dry park, but if you want to hop and like get a drink somewhere, it's really easy to get to Downtown Disney or California Adventure, and you can just chill, relax, and catch up. And that's kind of what the weekend was for me, Mike. It was like, even I know we saw each other the previous weekend, but we caught up and got to hang out. I hung out with, Jared, Stacy, Emily, Binning, so many people, right? Joe was like leading a lot of our lizards.
Oh, of course he was, because Joe's amazing at that, by the way.
I will give him a shout out, because there were so many like solo travelers that hadn't been to Disneyland, and he did a great job like arranging meets and like giving them, we know how Joe is. I mean, we're teasing him a little bit here, but like, he's kind of a nerd with this stuff, right? He loves the history of Disneyland Park, and like
he
he's in his element.
Yeah, he made a lot of folks experience a lot richer because of how he helped them navigate new waters.
Yeah. He was just kind of like hosting them, like being their tour guide, and it was so great. But basically what I'm saying, like Disneyland is such a great place to just hang out with friends. Like even if you don't do any attractions, just being in those parks is just so magical to me. And I know I'm not going to pick a favorite either, Pam. Like World, Land, they're both fantastic. But I'll just say I like them both a lot, and they're just very special to me.
Yeah, they each have their own pros and cons, I think. And as Disney fans, I love that I don't have to choose.
Right.
I love Disneyland. I know I love World, but I love it. Oh man, because it's my new thing, right? I mean, it's just kind of
that's what you experienced last.
Right,
so.
Exactly.
I'm so like that. Like Coronado's my favorite Walt Disney World hotel. Why? Because I was just there. Okay, so a couple things we got to share. First of all, I got to give a shout out to my ring searching crew. And if you know, I'm just going to say that I love you guys forever. And I'm forever and ever indebted to you. And that's all I'm going to say. Pam and Rikki don't even know what I'm talking about. It's fine. It was a
we can fill them in later.
Yeah, I will. But it was a harrowing 2 hours, and they stood by me very well, and I love you guys. Okay, so moving beyond that, just so it's documented on the podcast here, Scott and I have to share a story because I promised people, because I teased this and I told some people we'd share this on the podcast, and I think that we've all kind of seen this happen. I don't know what it is about Disney parks that bring out this side of some people. And I kind of hesitate to bring this out, but it is, you see stuff at Disney parks that just shocks you, right? I can't believe it. So, of course, on Medal Sunday, we call it as runners, everybody gets their medals and everyone wants to get their picture, in front of the castle or in front of the partner statue or what have you, DCA in front of the fun wheel or, whatever it's called. You just want to get your picture because you're probably going to take those medals home, hang them up and never do anything with them again. I mean, that's what a lot of us do, but you want the picture, right? To share with your kids and, put on social media or whatever. So Disneyland is not, again, as good at this as Walt Disney World, right? Disney World on Sunday, they know, like they bring out all the PhotoPass photographers. They have like 8 of them around the statue. Boom, they move and they all know like how to do the medals. They're all good at this. Disneyland, I think they're kind of still finding their groove. Like these photographers are kind of like deer in headlights. They're not exactly used to the runners, but they're doing a great job. Don't get me wrong, but they just don't have the experience. First time in 7 years, I've had a race weekend. So they had one photographer in front of the partner statue and all these runners that have now done not only just this Disneyland half marathon, but many of them have done this dopey challenge. So we're pulling out, and someone like Scott has done, he brought his coast to coast from previous years. I mean, people are pulling out medals like from it was like Michael Phelps, dude. I mean, medals were coming just everywhere. People were just looking like Mr. T with like 78 medals on them. And I mean, trying to give in, or it was, I mean, you should have seen this. It was something to watch. I mean, they should have sold Genie Plus to watch these runners. And I was one of them. I was one of the idiots in the line. I'm just saying, you should have watched us trying to get these in order because I'm terrible. My wife wasn't with me. I needed support. So I was like the dude who I sneezed or something and all my medals went down my well, yeah, or just lifted my head, I think, and it made a mistake. Anyway, so we're all, the lines, going down from the partner statue, down the straightaway, then it turns the corner and goes around like the hub by the popcorn carts and all this. I mean, it's a long line, probably 100 people long at least. So Scott's gonna back me up on this story. We have this group of these probably 7 or 8 women that must have done the dopey. They did dopey to Dumbo. So they did the dopey challenge and then they came and did the Dumbo double dare like a bunch of us did. And I mentioned because they're in front of Scott, because I had done mine earlier in the day, but I was in line with Scott to get his pictures done. And I mentioned they all had these cute outfits on, right? They had these.
They're very cute.
They were cute. They all had matching Dumbo outfits on with
like carnival outfits with the ears, and they had their Loungefly Dumbo backpacks on. It's very cute.
Yeah. I mean, they were decked out to the nines. I'm like, they're gonna have great pictures. Like that is so cute. And they're all friends, like middle-aged women, all with their medals. So I'm like, they're gonna have really cool pictures. And so they're like 5 in front of Scott, so all this, and so like, okay, cool, dude. Scott, take it over from there. I mean, because it took a terrible turn from that point.
Well, we're just standing there talking, and I think it had been like 10, 15 minutes, and I'm like, man, we haven't moved in this line. Like, what's going on? And I look up, and I realize, like, they all did this group photo, and now they're all doing, like, an individual one, and they're very long because they have all these medals on. And then I look off to the side, and I see, like, 2 or 3 of them are changing their outfits.
Oh, no.
To another – they're doing an outfit change and grabbing different medals to do more. So as the photographer is taking photos, all these individual ones, the other members of the team are changing outfits and they're getting back in line and doing this.
They're not getting back in line. They're continuing.
They're
not back in line. They're
not going to the back of the line. They're holding everybody up at this point. Yes.
When I said back in line, I meant like back to the photographer. I misspoke there. So then it's like 30, 40 minutes, and they're still with this one photographer, and the line is getting crazy. It's starting to get, the sunset's coming, like it's starting to get dark. And then they go to a third outfit. I kid you not.
It was like a Taylor Swift concert, but they did not change outfits as quickly.
Yes. And like, I mean, they're changing pants too. So like shoes are coming off and all this. I mean, and then, so Liz and I are talking like, is this like a private session? Like, did they book this? Like, that would be the only way where I think it would be okay to hold up a line that long for like almost an hour to do a PhotoPass photo. They did not. And they did not. I mean, there were disgruntled other guests, which is fair, coming up to them, asking them like, "What are you doing? Like, why are you doing this? Like, we have the same medals as you. Like, you're not as special." Like, I mean, it got ugly. And eventually, like a second photographer came up, but it was still moving slow because there were so many runners that were waiting in this line. They backed up the line by 1 hour. It was just I never seen anything like it. It was just really inconsiderate. At the end of the day, they were just thinking about themselves and not thinking about all the other guests, or not even runners. Just what if there was just a family just want to get a photo from the partner statue? You know?
Yeah.
It was just wild.
So I wonder if we'll see. I mean,
those
because of
photos?
things like this, that there'll have to be a photo time limit.
It should be. I mean, honestly, because I mean, like, I got my picture done, but I mean, I like in my head, there's an internal clock running when I'm up there, you know, because I see a line,
Right.
and I just realize everybody wants this picture.
Most
Also-
people are very considerate of other people's times.
Yes.
I will say, like, even when we have a group, I'm usually like, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a group shot. And then maybe there's a couple other things that need done, and then we're going to move on. And then if other people want photos, then they're going to do whatever, get them taken someplace else or have someone else take it. I think it's things like this where you begin to see that there needs to be.
I also
some
feel like,
things there.
okay, I get it. You all want a group shot. That's fine. You want individual shots. Okay, that's fine. It's when they start doing outfit changes.
Yes,
I have a problem with it. Like, that's the issue that you brought up. Like, it's not, if you want to do outfit changes, then you go back to the end of the line and then start over. Like, that's not okay to do that. Like, I'm fine with, okay, yeah, it's a little annoying. You know, you want to do a group shot and then you want to do individual shots of everybody. Okay, I get it. It's a little annoying. But it's the
Because they could have all been
it's
in
the
line
whole
individually.
thing.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
you
it's a lot.
have to be respectful of everybody else's time because everybody else is there. And like Scott said, you got to remember there's people there on vacation that are not runners that might just want to, you know, they've saved for 5 years to go to Disneyland, and they just want to get a picture with the partner statue because they admire Walt Disney. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, it's not, I'm a runner, right? And I was there for the Dopey to Dumbo thing, and I was super excited to get my picture of my medals. But I was not going to disregard somebody whose dream was to go to Disneyland and that was a fan of Walt Disney. I mean, how sad is that if you turn them off because of all these runners, you get them hating runners because, you know, I mean, because that's exactly what was happening. You know, I just think it made the runners look bad. It made like Uber Disney fans look bad. I always think about perception. And I think people saw those folks up there as the big time Disney fans, you know what I'm saying? And I mean, I'm lumped into that group because I'm a big time Disney fan. I'm also a Disney runner, which I'm lumped into that group, but I don't want to be lumped into that group because I care about the people who are not runners and I want them to love the Disney parks like I do. You know, about thinking about others.
I just wonder about the cast member. I mean, I guess like they probably just don't have the empowerment, right? To be like, well, no, you can't do this. But I wish they kind of did. Because
I wonder if they've ever even encountered it before. Think about it.
True.
Yeah.
It could have been the first thing, and they're probably like, I don't know what to do because
we have a procedure for this.
We don't have a procedure for this because we never thought that someone would do something like this.
True.
I mean,
True.
Yeah. But, and I mean, you'd hate to see like a time limit come up because like I don't want it to be like 60 seconds because sometimes you like to your point, Pam, like you might have 10 people, you got to position yourself. So like I think
it might have to be 5 minutes, or I mean,
I think no outfit changes. That's not okay. Yeah,
I know, but then you might have people doing other stuff. I think a time limit is fair because it's like, okay, 5 minutes. Like that's more time. That's probably 5 times as much time as I've ever needed, right? Or maybe not 5 times as much, but you know what I mean. Yeah, I do. That is probably that. So,
because if you needed more than 5 minutes, you could hop back in line and get another 5 minutes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Or go to another photo spot. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Go to a different location.
I truly hope that this does not need to be done, but then I also don't want to see like a fight at a park because literally I can see that I can see how that would be. I mean, people have lost their patience in so many ways, and so then you have to start thinking about. Someone's going to say something to them. They're going to say something smart back. Then something ensues. You know what I mean? So I hate situations like this. I hate that they even come up. So
it's uncomfortable. Yeah,
it
was super uncomfortable because we were like right at the front of the line, right? We were like 2 or 3.
I will give a shout out. So they had like another like photo pass person that wasn't like taking the photos, you know, just kind of like getting you to the place. And they did a great job. Like, I've never seen this before. Like having other people not come up to the partner statue that weren't in line. Cause people will come up there and like try to quick sneak a picture when there's like a change of like people. Like they did a great job like directing traffic around that area. I've never seen, I don't know if you've seen that before, Mike, but they did a great job like just making sure like other guests weren't in the photos, which I thought was kind of cool. But I just wish they had a way to manage that one particular group, because that I had never seen anything like that. It was outrageous.
Yeah, they put that cast member in a really bad spot. I mean,
for sure.
I felt terrible for the photographer because, again,
what are you going to
do? They're not making enough money to have to dictate policy on the fly. And that's exactly what they were being asked to do. And it just wasn't good. So it is. But I mean,
but it was a great trip. I mean, that was a crazy story that we wanted to bring up.
I had to share that story because one of the things, like, I could not believe it. And I kept telling Scott the same thing. Like when we were watching this, I couldn't believe it. Like I was like, we have to share this on the show because I cannot believe this is, and like, it just kept getting worse. Like it's one of those things like it would happen. And then it's like, oh my, no, it's not over yet. It's gone.
We walked by the hub maybe 3 hours later. And like, I think Liz jokingly said like, oh, it looks like they're on outfit number 7 now.
It's like, I just could not believe it. It's like shocking. So the memory for me for the trip though, is just finally getting to run. I don't know if I'll ever do like back-to-back coast to coast. I mean, it was awesome to do all this and jammed into like 12 days. It was so cool. I'd love to do it again. I mean, I said never dopey again, but who knows? Because
next year the race I believe is like later in the month, so it's not going to be like back-to-back.
That's good.
It's like it's about 3 weeks apart, I think, next year. But
yeah,
I mean, there was an energy of like, leaving Walt Disney World and see you next weekend in California. It was like almost like an amazing race kind of feel to it. Like everybody's going to check in at their house for a day or two. Some people flew straight from Florida to California, very envious of that. But, it's great to be at Disneyland. I love the attractions. I love this thing. Gibson Girl ice cream tastes better. That corn dog I had from the stage door, had to get it because Scotty G says they taste better there than the Little Red Wagon on Main Street. So I did that. Also, the mobile order was quicker there. I'll be honest, but it's just the nostalgia, the climbing of the Tarzan's treehouse, exploring that and walking through Sleeping Beauty Castle. I walked away from Scott and went through the castle while this was all going on too, because I just needed to take a walk, and just the little things were amazing. So I love the weekend, but most of all, meeting so many friends, old and new, and the listeners who came up and said, can we take a selfie? And thanks for doing the show. You guys, you made my weekend. It was so great. So Scott, you have some final words from the weekend, and we'll
from a running perspective, we built this great community. Well, I say we, but you and like Pam, Rikki, Mike Bankhead, Joe, like the running lizards there were so many of them out there this week. I think a lot of them were excited to run the West Coast for the first time. And I just want to give a shout out. I saw the post. I try to like them all or heart them wherever social media your platform you're on. But just want to give a shout out here. Just say you all crushed it. You did a fantastic job. I loved seeing the lizard green. Mike, there was so much lizard green that I saw on Sunday. It was unbelievable. More than any other like running group. I feel like there was, not to brag, but I think there was more lizards than any other group out there. It was amazing.
Go lizards. Yes, that's amazing.
And I know a lot of people were tired. A lot of us were getting Disney crud. So I know a big group walked most of it. And because a lot of us had injuries from the previous weekend, like from the rain, a lot of us had blisters and all that. And I just want to say you all fought through it. You faced the challenge. And I just want to say I'm super proud of you. Congratulations on all your successes. Whether you did 7 races over the last 2 weekends or 1, you all crushed it. And you made my trip very magical. So thanks again to our great running team.
Absolutely. It was, again, people, we got it done somehow. And everybody, the best thing is everybody encouraged each other. You know what I'm saying? Like you saw somebody in the course, you're going to get there. Even the Buckley boys who are like deer who can run probably 4-minute miles. They kept going back and forth with me on Sunday. I'm like, how are they? Because they kept stopping for pictures and going to the bathroom and stuff.
And they kept going back and forth with us in parks. I saw the Buck boys at least 10 times, like in one day. Like
I've still seen the Buckley boys more in January than I have my family. I mean, still.
For sure.
That works.
It's all good. It's all good. But yeah, bottom line is thanks to everybody for making my experience better, because you stopped in and said hello, or you ran with me, or you walked with me on the course, or you hung out in the corrals, or, whatever. It was Disneyland is about, like Scott said, it's a great place to be with friends. I mean, it is. You can slow down and just enjoy the experience. And that's what we did. So I'm doing it again, Scott. I can't wait for next year. That's going to be awesome. I can't wait.
Yeah, I mean, I say every time I'm on a Run Disney hiatus now, but we'll see when some registration opens up.
I will sure try. All right, so we're going to jump out of here, let you get on with your weekend. But the good news, we're back on Sunday night for a live call-in show. And if you want to call and share your experience from Disneyland or from Marathon Weekend down at Walt Disney World, you just want to talk Disney, we have the phone lines open again. It's been a month. So join us Sunday night, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. We might even try to get Instagram going. We'll see if we can get that working. I don't know. But join us there and give us a holler, and we'll be taking your calls and having a good time. So Sunday night, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central, we'll be talking to you. Give us a follow on the social media. Scott's at Epscott, EPSCOT. Rikki's at Rikki Nibs, RIKKI and IBS. Pam's at TMFLT Pam. I'm at BR Guest Mike. Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, not Twitch, Threads, all the places. Just find us. And don't forget, the show's brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. We'd love to help you plan that next Disney vacation, whether it's for a race weekend or just to have fun. Who needs the blisters anyway? And just whether you're headed out to Disneyland, which is awesome, Walt Disney World is amazing, Disney Cruise Line, hey, just chill and let the boat take you all around the world and spoil you. Or Adventures by Disney, go to the Galapagos, learn stuff, see amazing things you can't see anywhere else. Wherever you want to go cool places. We'll get you there, and we'll give you first-class service, no additional cost to you, and take care of you in every way we can. So check them out today over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link when you shop online. That really does help support the show with each and every purchase. BRGuestPodcast.com/Amazon. And thanks to our patrons, you make all this possible. You get the bonus show every week called Mike in the Midwest. You can support us starting at just $5 a month. Patreon.com/BeOurGuestPodcast. All right, time to jump out of here and let you get on with that weekend. No race weekend this weekend, Lizards. Chill out. Just chill.
What is that like? No race weekend? What?
I'm doing this weekend. There's no, I mean, there's NFL football, no college football. I guess just watch NFL football, I guess.
That's it.
I guess that's it. So go Lions, right, Scott?
Go Lions. Yeah, the live show could be interesting. The Lions kick off. The game will be ending right as that live show starts. So I'll be. I'm
all in on the Lions. That's gonna be my team this year. So there we go.
Oh boy, that means I'm cursed.
Well, maybe I won't be. I mean, we got them through. We got them through the Rams.
I know you got me through last week. So yeah.
All right. So until we all get together again, you guys. For Scott, Rikki, and Pam, I'm Mike. Wishing you a great weekend. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon. All right, that was fun. Thanks, guys.
All right, cool. See you next Monday.
I will see you next Monday. What?
What did Rikki say?
I said, can you hear me?
I'm going fine.
You're breaking up.
Bye.
I think she said bye.
I think she said bye.
She's frozen as a rock. Oh, now she's gone.
No.
All right, Scott, thanks for toughing that out. I appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah, no problem. All right, I'm gonna order up a pizza, man. Day after vacation, like it's got to be pizza because
I'm getting Taco Bell on the way to the game.
Yeah. Okay. All right. See you. Bye, everyone. Have a good week. Bye.